Welcome back to the show. Well, the 45th sitting of the Australian Parliament got underway this week, but despite big promises of unity, collaboration and a stable working majority, yesterday the Turnbull government was caught embarrassingly short.
And what they don't want to see is higher debt, higher deficits, higher taxes, because they know that will frustrate the economy and I'm sorry, Paul, we're going to have to stop. People are banging on the door.
Sure.
What? As a division, mate, I've got to go.
Okay, see ya.
Tell him I'll come back.
That was Treasurer Scott Morrison cutting short a Sky News interview as he realised what was unfolding on the floor of Parliament. Because for the first time in more than 50 years, a majority government has been defeated in not one, but 3 votes in the House of Reps because a number of government ministers and MPs had snuck off early. We're joined now by Defence Industry Minister Christopher Pyne and Shadow Transport and Infrastructure Minister Anthony Albanese. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Anthony.
Christopher, I'm going to start with you. This is the first week back and you're the manager of government business. Did you give those government ministers and MPs permission to leave early?
Of course not, Lisa. And there's no doubt that what happened late yesterday afternoon was a stuff-up. And those people who weren't there, obviously they learned a valuable lesson. In fact, everyone learned a valuable lesson, but there's no point in pointing the finger at individuals. Truth is that in the 43rd Parliament, the Gillard government, Anthony Albanese lost 61 votes on the floor of the House of Representatives. These were 3 procedural votes, and quite frankly, people out there in the community are more worried about jobs, they're more worried about feeding themselves and their children than they are about 3 adjournment votes in the House of Representatives.
Well, hang on, Christopher. This actually strikes at the heart of whether or not you've got a stable working majority. 76 seats in the lower house means you've only got 1 seat that makes you a majority. This really strikes at the heart of what lies ahead, because if you don't have those numbers in the house, in the lower house, then you don't have a government.
Well, Lisa, we do have the government, and of course we won every vote this week except for the 3 procedural votes to adjourn the House.
But as the manager of business, Christopher,
the Gillard
this is
government
your
was
job
in power,
to keep...
Anthony Albanese lost serious votes.
But this is your job as the manager of government business. How on earth could you let this sort of sloppy government happen at the end of the first week of its sitting?
Well, it's certainly a salutary lesson for anyone who went home before the House rose yesterday afternoon, and I'm absolutely certain that they won't do that again.
So what have you done? Michael Keenan was brought back he was actually on a flight. He's been brought back to talk to the Prime Minister. What's the Prime Minister going to say to him?
Well, Lisa, the internal machinations of the Liberal Party and how we manage our affairs, or the National Party for that matter, are not of great interest to people out in the community getting on there with their lives, going to work this morning, going to school this morning. So how we manage our internal affairs is not something that I intend to talk about on the Today Show today.
But Christopher, this is important stuff, because it was 1 vote away from that Banking Royal Commission getting up, and this was something that was very important to the government.
And that's why it's very important that people learn a lesson from it. But as I say, I mean, the bigger issues are Sam Dastyari and his clear issues that he has, and whether he should be resigning from the Labor Party front bench, which clearly he should. Bill Shorten's authority over his own party and his ability to control Sam Dastyari.
Sure, we'll get to that in a moment, but the truth is the government was outmanoeuvred yesterday.
Well, as I said, when Anthony Albanese was leader of the House, the Labor Party lost 61 votes on the floor of the House.
Nonsense.
So this kind of thing does
Anthony,
happen.
your response?
And it's well, that's what the Parliamentary Library says, not me. They're the Parliamentary Library's numbers.
You've had your go. There are times when you should be quiet, Christopher, and I'll give you a bit of advice. Be very quiet today. If you can't run the Parliament, you can't run the country. We were in control during 3 years of minority government. Each and every day of the Parliament, this mob, with a majority government, couldn't get through 3 days. It was a farce yesterday. It shows it as an example of just how out of touch this government is. It doesn't have an agenda, it doesn't have ideas, and now it doesn't have control of the House of Representatives.
All right, let's move on.